Some videos are disturbing for a reason, not because they look fake, but because no one can explain what was caught on camera. Strange figures, unnatural movements, and encounters that left the people filming completely shaken. These are the scariest videos on the internet, and every one of them only gets worse the longer you watch. A group of siblings sleeping on the roof of their home reportedly woke up during the night after hearing a deep, unsettling sound nearby. They claimed to sense something close to them in the darkness, though visibility was poor. Frightened by the situation and unsure of what they were dealing with, they quickly left the rooftop and moved to safety inside the house. The experience left them shaken, with no clear explanation for what caused the disturbance. Twisted, legged humanoid. Traveling along a forest trail road on the 28th of October, 2024, passengers in a vehicle reported a sudden and unexplained sighting of a thin, human-like figure appearing near the roadway. Despite the driver using the horn and headlights, the figure showed no visible reaction and continued moving in an unusual, awkward gait. Concerned by the unexpected presence in such a remote area, the occupants chose to keep their distance and proceeded cautiously rather than speeding up. The encounter ended without further incident as they left the area unsettled by what they had briefly witnessed. Locked skinwalker? An unidentified user posted a video online claiming to show something unusual behind a locked door, captured from a low angle beneath the gap. The footage displayed a strange, elongated silhouette with unnaturally long limbs and a distorted head shape that was difficult to clearly identify. No context was provided about where the recording was taken or how the situation occurred, leaving its origin unclear. As the clip circulated, viewers began offering various interpretations, with some suggesting it resembled folklore creatures, while others dismissed it as a visual distortion, staged content, or an unclear recording taken under poor lighting conditions. Roof rake. In 2016, a man in Wisconsin reported hearing unusual noises coming from his roof and initially assumed it was likely an animal. He went outside with a camera to check, but claimed to observe an unfamiliar humanoid figure crouched on the rooftop. According to his account, the figure made strange sounds and briefly appeared to look in his direction, before quickly moving out of sight. The incident was later shared online, where viewers debated possible explanations, ranging from misidentified wildlife to fictional creature interpretations. No official confirmation or evidence beyond the recording was ever established. Little ghost. In Mexico, an unsettling incident was reported by a man who went to investigate a partially abandoned building after hearing persistent crying echoing from inside. Near the base of a staircase, he noticed a ghostly little one standing motionless, showing no reaction to his repeated calls. The lack of response and the eerie stillness immediately raised his suspicions,
Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum, benedicta tu in mulieribus,
making him question whether it was truly a ghost at all. As the figure continued to ignore him completely, the situation felt increasingly unnatural, leading him to believe he might be facing something far more mysterious than it first appeared.
Está penando en este sitio. Señor, ayúdale.
Taken over. An Uber driver nearing the end of a late-night shift was about to park his car when he noticed a distressed young woman nearby, clutching a teddy bear and flinching at seemingly nothing. Concerned for her well-being, he tried to speak to her, but she remained completely unresponsive. As he observed her more closely, her expression appeared deeply unsettling, heightening the eerie atmosphere. The encounter left him shaken, as her unusual behavior and appearance made the situation feel far from ordinary, turning a routine night into a moment he wouldn't easily forget. Crypt entity. A late-night cleaner working near a crypt on the outskirts of Managua had a shocking encounter while carrying out routine duties. As he moved around the area, a strange, human-like figure appeared from within the structure, briefly revealing itself before slowly rising upward and fading into the sky. Caught off guard, the cleaner was clearly shaken, but still managed to record the moment as it happened. The way the figure appeared and then vanished gave the impression that it was being drawn away by some unseen force, leaving behind a deeply unsettling and mysterious experience. Girl possessed. One woman reportedly noticed an unusual shape moving beneath her blanket late at night. As she carefully lifted it, she was startled to see a pale, unsettling figure resembling a young girl with an unnaturally vacant expression. The sight terrified her, and she immediately fled the room without hesitation. Word of the incident spread quickly, with some claiming the house was linked to the passing of a little one long ago. Since then, local stories have suggested that something unexplained may still linger there, leading many to avoid staying in the house alone. Hallway figure. One of the tenants of an apartment complex in Shanghai, China, recorded and shared this footage, showing a bizarre-looking figure standing in the hallway near the elevator, partially blocking the passage. The shape appeared human, but strangely incomplete in appearance, and it was wearing what looked like a medical coat under dim lighting. The figure remained motionless for a moment before the clip ended abruptly, leaving its presence unexplained. The recording quickly spread among residents, leading to speculation about its origin, especially given reports of a nearby medical facility, though no clear explanation was ever confirmed. Uninvited entity. Leaving the door open turned out to be a serious mistake. During the night, a security camera reportedly captured an unusual figure entering the room in complete silence, moving in an unnatural and distorted manner as it approached the sleeping area. The footage suggested slow, deliberate movement toward the bed before the recording suddenly stopped after the motion sensor was triggered again. No further images or sounds were recorded after that point, leaving the rest of the event unknown. The clip quickly circulated online, where viewers debated what might have caused the interruption, but no clear explanation was ever confirmed. Unraveled horror. A grieving man became determined to uncover what had truly happened. Driven by sorrow, he entered the crumbling building, where an unsettling silence filled the air. Inside, he spotted a strangely untouched doll resting on a dusty sofa, its presence deeply unnerving. When he picked it up, a dark figure suddenly appeared before him, resembling a shadowy witch, radiating a sinister force. Overcome with terror, he fled the house immediately. Soon, his story spread, and ever since, no one has dared to live near that cursed place again. Trail Road Apparition. While traveling through the remote hills of Himachal Pradesh, India, a tourist abruptly stopped after noticing something unusual ahead. In the midst of the forested path, a faint, human-like silhouette appeared, draped in what looked like a pale, flowing covering. It moved quietly through the trees, not reacting to his presence or attempting to approach him. Despite the calm behavior, the sight was enough to unsettle him. Choosing caution over curiosity, he slowly backed away, keeping his distance until the figure gradually faded into the dense tree line and was no longer visible. Mysterious beach woman. Several beachgoers on the 30th of April, 2025, reported seeing a mysterious woman sitting alone on the shoreline in Manaus, soaked and appearing deeply distressed, prompting someone to call police for help.
Atenção, atenção, abraço meu amigo Eli. Atenção, 9:19, ó.
When officers approached her, what seemed like a routine welfare check took a shocking turn. Instead of responding, she suddenly ran into the water and disappeared beneath the surface without resurfacing.
Policial tá ali, vários policiais, ó.
Witnesses, including police at the scene, watched in disbelief as no trace of her was found despite immediate efforts to locate her. Nobody was recovered, no missing person reports were connected to the incident, and no official explanation has ever clarified whether it was a tragedy or something far stranger. Bedroom visitor. the moment he woke to find a woman's head slowly appearing at the foot of his bed, her face frightening and her grin deeply unnatural. When he got up to confront her, she had vanished. Seconds later, he found her crouched on the bedroom floor, and before he could process what he was seeing, she began crawling toward him at speed. He ran, colliding with everything in his path. The night affected him profoundly enough that he felt compelled to document it and warn others about what had entered his room that night. Backyard Ghost. A lone Filipino paranormal investigator making his way toward a long abandoned house in his neighborhood was still moving through the tall grass of the backyard when something on the other side of the fence stopped him. A tall, ghostly entity was standing there staring directly at him, making its presence known before he had even reached the property he had come to explore. The encounter raised the immediate question of whether the entity had been watching from beyond that fence long before his arrival, and whether his approach through the tall grass had been observed the entire time. He documented the moment before the investigation could proceed any further.
Desce! Desce! Você não é mais forte!
Headless Biker. On the 9th of November 2025, a driver heading out early came across something that made him reach for his camera immediately. Moving along the road ahead was a bike rider with no head, body upright and in full apparent control of the vehicle, yet missing the one feature that would make the sight remotely ordinary. He began recording within seconds of spotting it. What followed before the clip cut off was the figure appearing to notice it was being filmed and beginning to taunt the driver, at which point the footage ends abruptly. What happened in the moments after has not been shared. Terrifying passenger. An Uber driver who briefly left his vehicle to refuel returned to find that the passenger in the back no longer looked anything like herself. Unsettled but committed to completing the trip, he began recording while driving her to her original destination rather than confronting whatever had changed during the short window he was away from the car.
Voy aquí rápido al Oxxo por un suero, señorita.
The footage captured during that ride has since circulated online, alongside reports that the woman disappeared entirely after being dropped off, leaving no trace of who she was or what had happened to her between the moment he stepped out and the moment he returned. Crying Demon Girl. What seemed like a simple act of kindness took an eerie turn when a woman approached a crying girl to offer help. The girl remained silent, despite several attempts to engage her, prompting the woman to gently reach out.
Kenapa?
In an instant, the girl's appearance shifted into something unnatural and frightening, no longer resembling a human at all. Startled and overwhelmed, the woman recoiled in fear. Almost immediately after, the strange figure vanished without a trace, leaving behind a deeply unsettling experience that transformed a compassionate moment into something inexplicable and disturbing.
Ayo, kenapa kamu kenapa?
Supernatural figure. On the 3rd of October 2023, a man filming inside a destroyed and seemingly abandoned location encountered a supernatural figure that brought his exploration to an immediate and unsettling halt. Emerging from within the darkness of the structure, the figure appeared in a way that was both unnatural and deeply disturbing, making it clear this was no ordinary presence. Its motionless stance and deliberate visibility left little doubt that it was fully aware of being seen. The man quickly abandoned his investigation, clearly shaken by what he had witnessed. Since the footage was shared online, viewers have pointed out that the figure's calm, open presence made the encounter far more chilling than if it had tried to remain hidden.
لا لا ما بدي أدخل ما بدي.
Possessed passenger. An in-driver's rearview mirror camera captured a passenger behaving in a way that raised immediate questions about what was actually in control of her during that ride. Her behavior throughout the journey bore qualities that viewers were quick to associate with demonic possession: erratic, detached, and entirely inconsistent with how a person would ordinarily conduct themselves in the back of a rideshare vehicle. The dashcam recorded it all without the driver appearing fully aware of the extent of what was unfolding behind him. Whether this was a genuine case of paranormal influence, a medical episode, or something staged, no one who has watched the footage has landed comfortably on any single explanation. Parking lot crawler. YouTuber Wilson Baldotano reviewed his home security camera footage after waking to find something had been captured outside while he slept. A mysterious woman had been filmed on the exterior cameras during the night, moving around the property in a way that felt deeply wrong for someone with no apparent reason to be there. The footage drew widespread attention after Wilson shared it, with viewers noting that her behavior, the way she moved, where she positioned herself, and the hours she chose raised concerns well beyond those of an ordinary trespasser. Who she was and what she was doing outside his house in the night has not been answered. Door Phantom. Doorbell camera footage of an owner discovered something deeply unsettling after his motion-activated camera kept notifying him of movement outside. Reviewing the recordings, he noticed a dark, indistinct shape briefly appearing near his front door, shifting in a way that suggested it was lingering and observing the entrance. When he stepped outside to check, the area was empty, with no sign of anyone present. The strange figure did not reappear, and the footage cut off shortly after, leaving the incident unexplained and raising questions about what had triggered the alerts in the first place. Maid Ghost. In late March 2017, a woman reviewing security footage from her apartment in Singapore noticed unsettling behavior from her domestic worker following an unusual incident. The video appeared to show the maid dressed in white, moving in an unnatural bent posture reminiscent of horror imagery, which quickly gained widespread attention online. While some viewers interpreted the actions as signs of possible possession, others suspected the behavior was staged to provoke concern or facilitate leaving the job. The footage sparked debate, with reactions ranging from fear to skepticism, as many questioned the authenticity and motive behind the disturbing scene. Road spirits. A driver on a dark road shared eerie footage on TikTok, capturing the moment a tall, human-like figure appeared ahead and began moving slowly toward his vehicle. The figure's deliberate approach gave the impression it was trying to get closer, though its intent remained unclear. In a separate incident on the same stretch of road, another driver reported seeing a different figure walking in the opposite direction. With multiple sightings under similar conditions, some have speculated that the road may be linked to more than one unexplained presence. Basement horror. For several days, strange noises had been coming from the basement, making the man finally investigate on his own. As he entered the dimly lit space, he noticed a figure sitting still near a window, seemingly unaware of his presence. When it finally turned, its eyes appeared to glint unnaturally, fixing an intense stare on him. An oppressive feeling filled the room, as if something unseen had moved close by, leaving him frozen with fear. Unable to remain any longer, he quickly retreated upstairs, convinced that whatever was down there was not human, but something far more disturbing and unknown. Troubled monk. On the 27th of June 2024, a tourist driving through a remote area of Tibet reported an unsettling roadside encounter. While traveling along an isolated stretch, the vehicle was suddenly halted when a monk-like figure stepped into the path, standing motionless and blocking the road without any clear reason. According to the account, the figure's behavior then shifted abruptly in a disturbing way, appearing unnaturally rigid and unresponsive for a brief moment. The driver, already alarmed by the isolation of the area, described the experience as deeply unsettling before quickly leaving the scene. Backseat presence. A driver was heading home at night when he noticed a vehicle traveling ahead of him on the same road. As he followed at a steady distance, he suddenly saw an unsettling shape appear in the back seat of the other car, with what looked like pale, glowing eyes staring in his direction. The brief glimpse left him deeply disturbed and shaken. According to local accounts, the vehicle had been linked to a past fatal accident, leading some to believe that eerie sightings may still occur around it. The driver quickly slowed down and put distance between the cars. Una Bruja sighting. While searching at night for a missing woman along a remote road in the Caribbean region of Mexico, a witness reported seeing a strange, human-like figure moving near a low wall. The figure appeared to be crawling unusually and was wearing a bright red outfit, similar to what the missing woman had reportedly been seen wearing earlier. As the driver slowed down and attempted to get a closer look, the figure allegedly vanished from sight within moments. The brief encounter left uncertainty about whether it was the missing woman or an unrelated sighting in the darkness. Hitchhiking apparition. In the early hours of the morning along Route 34 near Totoras, Santa Fe, a group of truck drivers reported a disturbing series of events during their journey. One driver first noticed a woman standing still on the roadside, but when he looked again moments later, she was gone. Shortly after, another driver behind him turned on his headlights and claimed to see a female figure appearing to cling to the back of the moving truck, partially obscured by darkness. As the convoy slowed near a roundabout, the figure reportedly dropped away and disappeared without a trace. The drivers, unsettled by what they experienced, left the area and later reviewed video footage that offered no clear explanation. Seated park ghost. A jogger preparing for a run reportedly noticed an unusual, faintly visible figure in the distance and decided to record it on his camera. The silhouette appeared to resemble a woman with long, dark hair and clothing that could only be partially made out due to distance and lighting. As the footage circulated, viewers offered different interpretations, with some suggesting supernatural causes, while others believed it could simply be a trick of shadows, lighting, or movement in the environment. Intruder shadow. A man, reportedly spending a normal evening indoors, suddenly noticed a large, unsettling figure appear in his bedroom without warning. Startled, he turned quickly, his camera shaking as he tried to make sense of what he was seeing. When he gathered the courage to look again moments later, the figure was no longer there, as if it had disappeared completely. The brief encounter left no clear explanation, only confusion and unease, with the incident later shared and debated online without any confirmed conclusion. Supernatural bodyguard. Sometimes it's the person that you should be afraid of, rather than the spirit that he carries along with him. A CCTV clip from an undisclosed location shows a man approaching another who was quietly waiting at a bus stop, seemingly intent on starting a fight. The situation escalates for a brief moment before taking an unexpected turn. The man being targeted appears to manifest something strange and unsettling, an otherworldly presence that emerges as if he were hosting it. Without struggle, this force shuts down the aggressor, ending the confrontation instantly and leaving behind an eerie sense of mystery. The Cursed One. On a still night in the small town of Pitcher, residents noticed a solitary figure present at the edge of the forest. At first glance, it seemed like an ordinary person, but something about it felt off. When it finally turned around, its face revealed something unnatural, distorted, unfamiliar, and deeply disturbing. Its head was misshapen, unlike anything anyone could recognize. Then, just as suddenly as it appeared, the figure slipped back into the darkness and was gone. A heavy, uneasy silence followed, and a lingering fear spread through the town, with many beginning to believe that something malevolent had marked Pitcher. Horrific entity. There was something deeply unsettling about the doll on his shelf, a feeling he couldn't ignore, so he picked up his camera and started recording. At first, nothing seemed out of the ordinary, but then, right before his eyes, the doll slowly turned its head, as if it were aware of him watching. A chill ran through him as he tried to dismiss it, perhaps a trick of the light, or his imagination playing games.
See if she moves.
But later, when he checked the footage, there was no denying it. The movement was real. The doll hadn't just appeared to move, it had actually done so, as if something within it was alive. That realization was enough. Without wasting another second, he made sure it was sealed away or completely removed from his life.
I think I can see it on here.
Hostile horror. In a girls' hostel in Davao City, Philippines, a student woke late one night to find a fellow resident behaving in a way that felt immediately and deeply wrong. The student stood at the window in unusual clothing, completely motionless and staring outside without reacting to anything in the room around her. The stillness was total, no movement, no acknowledgement, nothing resembling any normal state of sleeping or waking. Whether she had been sleepwalking, was experiencing something medical, or had been taken over by a presence that had entered the hostel that night, the student who witnessed it has not been able to find an explanation that satisfies her since. Glowing silhouette. Just after a funeral in a small Indonesian town, one of the locals noticed something deeply unsettling while reviewing footage filmed during the ceremony on February 22. Sitting beside one of the freshly covered graves was a glowing, human-shaped silhouette, clearly visible on camera, yet unlike any person attending the service. The figure appeared still and distinct, positioned on the right side of the grave as if quietly observing the burial. No one present reported seeing it at the time, making its appearance even more mysterious. Whether it was the spirit of the person just buried returning in their final moments, or something else entirely drawn to the gathering, no explanation has ever been provided. Malaysia cryptid. A tenant who had only recently moved into a cabin house in a remote location in Malaysia discovered, within hours of arriving, that the property was not as unoccupied as it appeared. Holding on to a wooden bar within the structure was an unknown entity whose form has since been widely classified online as a cryptid, something entirely outside the boundaries of any documented species. The discovery came so soon after moving in that it raised an immediate question of whether the entity had been a permanent fixture of that remote cabin long before the tenant's arrival, and whether it had any intention of sharing the space without incident. Serbian dancing lady. On the 16th of March 2023, footage of a woman who became known as the Serbian dancing lady began circulating online and has since become one of the more unsettling viral mysteries of recent years. Captured dancing erratically in public, what elevated the footage from odd to genuinely frightening was the accompanying reports she was said to chase people with a knife and was rumored to be unusually skilled with sharp weapons. Despite widespread circulation and significant international attention, the true identity of the Serbian dancing lady has never been confirmed, and what drove her behavior on that March night remains a mystery that no one has been able to close. Manhole howling. 3 young men who began hearing loud howling sounds while passing by followed the noise out of curiosity until they discovered it was coming from beneath a manhole. Rather than becoming clearer the closer they got, it only grew more disturbing. The sounds rising from below were not mechanical, not animal, and not anything they had an immediate explanation for. The footage captured as they stood over the manhole listening has since circulated online, alongside a question the clip never answers. What exactly was crying from underneath that street, and whether it had any awareness of the 3 young men standing directly above it? Cambodia witch. After moving into a guest house in remote Battambang, Cambodia, one guest stepped outside late at night for a smoke and encountered something he never expected to see. Staring directly at him from the darkness was a witch-like figure standing unnervingly close to the property, its presence immediately triggering alarm. Frozen for a moment, he managed to document what he was seeing before quickly retreating inside. The footage later gained widespread attention online, especially among viewers familiar with Cambodian folklore, where such figures are not treated as simple superstition, but as deeply rooted entities tied to rural legend. To this day, no explanation has been given for what was lurking outside that guest house. Hospital figure. As a paranormal investigator was exploring a recently closed-down hospital building in Nepal, he quickly sensed a dark presence moving through the empty halls. What began as an uneasy feeling soon escalated into something far more disturbing as the entity made its presence unmistakably known. Rather than hiding, it appeared to engage directly, allowing itself to be felt and even briefly seen during multiple close encounters as he moved deeper into the abandoned structure. The footage left viewers unsettled, as the deliberate nature of these appearances suggested awareness and intent. Whether it had haunted the hospital long before its closure or arrived after, whatever was inside showed no interest in staying hidden. Crawling horror. A man filming in a remote location in Noida, India, came across a witch-like entity crawling across the ground in a way that immediately set it apart from anything he had expected to encounter. The moment it became aware of being filmed, the dynamic shifted. The entity turned toward him and closed the distance at a speed that gave him almost no time to react. The footage captures the moment of that sudden approach before the clip ends abruptly, leaving what follows entirely to the imagination of viewers online. The entity has not been identified, and the location has not been disclosed by the source since the footage was shared.